12 healthy volunteers, average age 67, moderately active, no illness, nothing wrong with any of them. Researchers put them in a hospital bed for 10 days and asked them to do nothing at all. And nothing happened to them. No infection, no surgery, no injury. They were fed, monitored, and left alone. In those 10 days, they lost roughly 1 kilogram of lean muscle from their legs, about 1.5 kilograms from the body as a whole, and the rate at which they built new muscle protein dropped by around 30%. It was a small study, and small studies deserve caution. But in a comparable experiment, healthy adults in their 30s lost less leg muscle over 28 days than these older adults lost in 10. 10 days is a bad flu, a knee surgery, a cold week spent indoors, and the unsettling part isn't the number. It's that nothing damaged them. The body wasn't attacked or injured or infected. It simply wasn't asked for anything. And it answered by handing capacity back, which raises a much harder question about the days you don't spend in a hospital bed. Most people already have an answer for this, and the answer is the chair. Sitting has been the villain of the last decade of health advice, and the evidence behind it isn't thin. A pooled analysis of 16 studies and just over 1 million adults found that people who sat 8 hours or more a day and moved the least had a 59% higher risk of dying during follow-up than the most active group. The same analysis carries a second half that rarely gets quoted. In the most active group, that penalty largely vanished. Roughly 60 to 75 minutes of moderate daily movement appeared to erase the excess risk of a long day in a chair, so the story looks finished. Sit less, move more, and you buy the hours back. That part is worth keeping. But when researchers stopped observing and started testing, the results split. Some step reduction experiments found real damage inside 2 weeks. Muscle protein synthesis falling, fasting insulin climbing, inflammation rising. Then a randomized trial in adults aged 70 to 80 cut daily steps by about 68% below 2,000 a day and found leg lean mass unchanged, glucose and insulin unmoved. Its authors concluded that short-term step reduction in healthy older adults may not be as damaging as currently assumed. The evidence is mixed, and the mixture is the interesting part. 2 weeks of near total inactivity, and sometimes almost nothing happens. 10 days in a hospital bed, and 1 kilogram of leg muscle is gone. Both groups stopped walking, only one of them reliably lost, which means walking was never the ingredient. Look at the fix that got built on top of the sitting story, the step count, 10,000 a day on a wrist, on a phone, on a screen that congratulates you at midnight. That number was never a finding. It came from the brand name of a Japanese pedometer sold in 1965. Manpo-K, the 10,000 step meter, a product name. And when researchers checked it, it didn't hold. Among 16,741 women averaging 72 years old, mortality fell sharply as daily steps rose, and then flattened out around 7,500. More steps beyond that didn't buy more survival, which is strange if steps are the point. 16,000 should beat 8,000. It doesn't. Now, the case that settles it, astronauts on the International Space Station are among the most physically active people alive. Their schedule protects around 2 hours of exercise a day, treadmill, bike, resistance machine, supervised from the ground, non-negotiable, and they still lose bone. On average, 1 to 2% of bone mineral density every month. A 6-month mission can cost as much bone as a postmenopausal woman loses in a year on Earth. The exercise slows the loss. It doesn't stop it, because what's missing up there isn't movement, it's weight, which reframes the hospital bed. Those 12 volunteers weren't emptying out because they stopped moving. They were emptying out because nothing was pressing down on them anymore. And it reframes the step reduction trial. Those people cut their steps, but they still stood up, still carried themselves to the bathroom, still rose out of chairs. They kept the load. They only gave up the volume. So the question was never how much you move. It's how much your body has to hold. Inside your bones, there are cells called osteocytes buried in the mineral itself, wired to each other through microscopic channels. They don't build anything. Their job is to feel. When force passes through the skeleton, fluid shifts in those channels and the cells convert that physical event into a chemical instruction. Build here, dissolve there. It's called mechanotransduction, and muscle runs on a version of the same logic. Tissue is maintained in proportion to the force it's required to carry. That much has been understood for decades. What comes next is the part that changes your day. The signal saturates almost immediately in animal and cell studies, and that limitation matters because the exact numbers don't transfer straight to people. A small number of loading cycles produces most of the response available. Add more and the tissue barely registers them. The cells go temporarily deaf and need hours of recovery before they'll answer again, which means the body was never counting. It's reading amplitude. That closes both loose threads, and the survival benefit flattening at 7,500 steps stops being strange. Steps pass that add volume to a message the tissue already stopped hearing. Astronauts losing bone through 2 hours of daily exercise stops being strange too. That's 2 hours of a signal with the amplitude taken out. Now set a lifetime against that at the elevator, the escalator, the closer parking space, groceries delivered to the doorstep, chairs built at exactly the height that takes no effort to leave, handrails on every staircase, wheels on every suitcase. Not one of those removed a step. Every one of them removed a peak. They arrived decades apart, each obviously an improvement, each quietly deleting another moment when your body had to produce force it couldn't avoid. So the mechanism is clear enough. What isn't clear is why none of it registers. Why erasing the exact demands that keep you intact feels every single time like a good day. There's a reason nobody notices. Your body doesn't calibrate to your age. It calibrates to the hardest thing you regularly ask of it, then maintains just enough to meet that, plus a small buffer. So when a convenience removes a peak, nothing breaks. The ceiling simply comes down, and it comes down toward you, matching whatever you're still doing. There's no moment of failure to notice because the standard descends at exactly the speed you do. That's what comfort is biologically. Not rest, not damage. A renegotiation of the set point, agreed one convenience at a time, always in your favor today and against you across a decade. The 12 volunteers weren't injured. Their bodies accepted a lower ask and rebuilt around it in 10 days. The step reduction group cut their walking but never stopped standing up. The peak survived, so the set point survived. The astronauts moved for hours and thinned anyway because the ask had gone to 0 on the only axis the cells can hear. And the step count on your wrist measures the exact quantity your body isn't reading. 3 things follow. Raise the ceiling sometimes instead of raising the average. Tissue records the hardest thing you did, not the total. A handful of honest peaks in a week outranks a big number every day. Leave the load inside ordinary life instead of scheduling all of it. Carry your own groceries, take the stairs at a pace you can feel, get up off the floor without a hand. That demand is free and it's already in your day. And audit what you've stopped doing, not what you're doing. Comfort lives in absences. What you no longer lift, climb, or carry will tell you more than any tracker. Osteoporosis, joint replacements, heart conditions, and some medications change what loading is appropriate. Where to start is a conversation with whoever manages your care. What's worth holding on to is that this system never ages out of listening. We'll keep taking these apart because the instruction is only half of it. Bone and muscle don't rebuild while you're making the demand. They rebuild afterward in a window most people spend badly and mostly at night.